So this is Mike Sylvia here with New Bedford Guide. We're going to do a weekly show with the New Bedford Police Department. I'm here with your police chief, Joe Cordeiro. Used to be the downtown police chief, I remember, right, back in the day. But now you're the chief of police of the city. I'm glad to see that. So we're going to do a weekly show, and we're going to talk about some things. So welcome, Captain Chief Cordeiro.
Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here, as always. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to come here on your show. And I like what we did down here.
Yeah, getting the studio
high
going.
tech, yeah.
So first thing, we've had the hurricane, obviously, in Texas and Houston, and the New Bedford Police Department stepped up and already done one. I've already seen photos, and we got some that are going to show up here of the police department collecting the items, and already in Texas, and now they're doing another one tomorrow. But let's talk about the first one, which is happening.
Yeah, really proud of Officer Donnie Williams, who's also a vet. He really took the lead on this, and what he originally thought was going to be a small U-Haul that he's going to take, and it quickly shifted. By 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it was clear it wasn't going to be enough. When I left the office at 5 o'clock, I couldn't believe, the traffic jam that we have and the area that was taken up with all the goods that people were bringing. So really, really proud of Officer Don Williams. But equally as important, I got to tell you, and I've been talking about it for a long time, about the city of New Bedford. We have the nicest people anywhere. We're such a charitable people with big, big hearts, and this is just another example of seeing the people in New Bedford coming alive and giving, because that's what they do. They were just a giving people, and I'm really proud of this city, and of course, Officer Williams.
So we have another one on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Cushnet Police, Fairhaven, Dartmouth, and New Bedford at the headquarters?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Mike. So if you haven't donated and you'd like to donate something to head down there and help those folks that are in a terrible position in Houston, you're welcome to come down Saturday morning, 9 to 4 at police headquarters on Rockdale Avenue. Same location that we did last week. And we're going to have, I believe it's Tremblay bus is going to be there. We're going to be loading up those buses with goods. So please come on down, and we'll take whatever you want to give and send down there to those folks that are in dire need.
And I'm looking at the list here. It says gallons and cases of water, first aid kits, foghorns, moving boxes, dehydrated food, bleach. You can go on newbedfordguy.com, and it's on there. If you just type in local police in the search, and we have a list there. Is he down? He's in Texas now, or?
He's in Texas now, waiting for him to come back. So he's been in constant contact with Sandy Bowles and another department. So we're expecting he may be back maybe tomorrow or Saturday. We're trying to. We'll be putting that on our Facebook as well, and we'll let you know as well when he's going to be back. Probably thinking about having a little warming reception for him.
So if you got any questions for your chief of police, go ahead and post it in. I'm looking at the comments now. We have Troy DuPont says, "Hi, Chief."
Hey, Troy.
Janine says, "Thank you for all you do." Hello, gentlemen. So that's what we got so far. Another topic here. So we've seen people going through Craigslist and buying things, and even cars, right? So you have people actually test driving the cars and not coming back. You have people buying an Xbox on a Cushnet Avenue and kind of getting mugged for their item. But you guys have headquarters that people can go to internet transactions.
Right, we have that safe zone, Mike, which is ideal for that, and we put that in play specifically to protect potential victims. Right, we've seen it from sneakers. Someone meets someone from trying to sell their pair of sneakers on Craigslist and gets robbed. Recently, we were having a lot of folks coming from out of town, actually, with their ATVs or their dirt bikes going to Pacheco School, and the person would say, "Let me take it for a spin and try it first and never come back." It just doesn't make sense, folks. We have this incredible nice area at police headquarters on Rockdale Avenue. We've got signs up there. It's a safe zone. Don't meet a stranger to make this kind of transaction. It's not worth the risk. Anybody that's not legit is not going to want to meet you at the police station, or very unlikely to want to do that. So it's the best way to have a safe transaction on the modern times using technology. So come on down to headquarters, please. Use our facility and be safe.
And there's public access to not only the parking area, but the lobby. They can go into the lobby.
Absolutely. If you want to meet the folks inside the lobby, you're more than welcome to come inside the lobby. And we have cameras outside, not only inside the lobby, but also in the perimeter of the station. We have the safe zone, so It makes perfect sense for you. Meeting a stranger, you might as well meet them in one of the safest places in the city, I would think, would be the police station.
And the cameras are 24/7.
Right, we run cameras, and especially in the lobby. If you feel more comfortable coming in the lobby and meeting somebody in there, then that's fine too.
Yeah, and it's really the headquarters building is really central. It's right off Route 6, so it's right there, central part of the city, so it's not that far from any part of the city.
Yeah, you come off of 140 right up Route 6, you're on Rockdale Avenue. It's easy accessible from either end of the city, so please come on down, use our space. Actually, it's your space, man. You know, our police station's our police station, our parking lot's your parking lot, so use your space.
So we have Denise Vardo, awesome job, New Bedford Police. Janine asked a question, and we were going to talk about this towards the end, but we'll do it now. So do you have any thoughts about our panhandling problem? We'll talk that first, and we'll go to an incident that happened today.
Sure, and you have quite a few thoughts on a panhandling situation. It's not only here in New Bedford, but everywhere. You go everywhere now, it just seems like every town and city has folks out there panhandling. So here's my thoughts. I think because we're such a charitable city with huge hearts, we need to start giving money to organized charitable organizations, legitimate ones. Here's the dilemma. When you're giving money to these folks, I can tell you a very strong likelihood that it's being used to support their addiction, either a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction. To prove the point, many people tell me they've offered them food and they don't want food. They don't want a sandwich. And there's plenty of places in the city that feed a lot of our homeless. So, you know, you got Mercy Meals, you got the Pilgrim Church, you got United Way, Salvation Army. There's a lot of churches that do it as well, that you can funnel your money that way. Please, I really ask you to give your money to a legitimate organization. Giving it to these folks, you're not helping them. You're enabling their addiction for the most part. If we could follow them, you'd follow them to a liquor store downtown. They're probably going to go to the Biltmore liquor store. They're going to get some nips. And if they're not going there, they're probably going to be going or meeting someone that's going to support them with their drugs. So please, again, I know you're charitable people and you got big hearts, especially we get a lot of folks coming from outside the city, coming, westbound from, Marion, Mattapoisett, please. Give it to a legitimate organization. We're not helping these folks by giving them money to feed their addiction.
Yeah, I wrote an article called "Don't Blame the Panhandlers, Blame the People That Give to Them," and I estimate just, finger in the air for the wind is we've tripled our panhandler numbers in the last 3 years because of the giving, and people tell everyone around the state, hey, the gravy train's here in New Bedford, come over, and now you got them on every intersection of every major part of the city. If you keep giving, you're going to keep bringing the numbers up, I think.
Absolutely. And the other thing, there's two other points I'd like to make, Mike, if I could. One, it's not safe because a lot of these folks are stepping into the street, and some people panic when they see them. They're like they may be hitting the accelerator, they're going to hit their brakes, or they're going to get hit. It's just not a safe place for them to be in the middle of the median and walking into the street, for them and for the motorists. So that's one. More recently, I had this conversation with someone that I respect that works closely with these demographics of individuals, and I said, why? Do you think they're all homeless? He said, no. So a lot of people, this is their job. He knew someone in Boston that's what they would do. They'd park a very expensive car around a corner. They go do it. They do their 6 or 8 hours, get a couple $100s a day, tax-free, and then go home. Some of these people, it's their job, and others, like I said, are just feeding their addiction. It may make you feel good that you're doing the right thing, but if you really want to feel good and do something good with your money, give to a legitimate organization.
You have Veteran Transition House in New Bedford. You have Mercy Meals and More. You have all these places that are. There's a lot of pantries in the city people don't even know about, and that's where they're going to get their food. They're not usually
Right.
getting money on the corner and then going to buy food. There's plenty of food in the city at these. The old New Bedford Hotel. You can go there. People are fed, so you don't have a problem being fed in this city. There's a lot of good, caring people in the city. So the idea is, and someone asked here a question. About in Providence, they're doing those meters, and we've talked about that before, where they, instead of giving to a panhandler, just go to these meters and give, and they just get distributed out to the local, food stuff. Any thoughts on the meters?
Yeah, we had talked about it. It doesn't. I don't know really enough about the details of it and how it works and how that money is managed. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It could be a very good idea. But right now, we have dozens of organizations that are doing a lot of good work. You mentioned some of these pantries. You got St. Lawrence that does it as well. They have a pantry there that you can go give to. And there's, our ladies, Sisters of Mercy that give You got the shelter in the South End, you got House of Hope, you got St. Anthony's, I believe, has a pantry too. So there's so many places that you can give to help these folks out. And I really think it's just people have such big hearts here, and it makes them feel good to give. And I understand that. I'm saying just let's give to where you're going to not only feel good, but you're going to get a big return on that money that's going to get to the right people for the right reasons.
Yeah, and it was a press release sent out by the police department. We just posted it on New Bedford Guide's Facebook. It's the post before this live video. So you had a 65-year-old man who's traditionally gives to the panhandlers. He's in the Burger King on Cove Road. A known panhandler, a known beggar comes in, asks for money. He opens up his wallet, and she goes for a grab. And he trips her, she falls, and he causes these incidents, like this. And he's a good, caring person. He's trying to take care of someone, but it's not always the best idea, especially come in while you're eating in restaurants and stuff.
Absolutely. Even just walking around. This happened to me downtown in Bedford just last week. I went to have lunch with my daughter on Purchase Street, having some sushi. And we're walking back, and she was walking me back to my car, and someone asked her for some money. And before I could get it, she reached, pulled out a wallet, started giving some changes. I said, don't ever do that. She says, why, Dad? I said, because they're going to grab your wallet and they're going to run. You always run that potential when you reach into your pocket and you expose, one, how much cash you have, and two, you expose it so it's very vulnerable and easy to grab, like this gentleman just happened at McDonald's. Never a good idea for you to reach into your wallet or into your pocket to pull out money to give anywhere. Not just New Bedford. If you were in New York City, you wouldn't do it. If you were in Boston, you wouldn't do it, or some other large city, Chicago or LA. So don't do it at home. It's just a bad practice no matter where you're at.
So I wrote an article, it was about a month ago. Miami actually figured out how to pass an ordinance and keep people away. Panhandlers, it's illegal to be a panhandler in most of Miami. What's the rules for the police officers? What can you do and what can't you do? I know that the mayor and others have talked about, cities are getting sued if they pass an ordinance against, but Miami's figured it out. So I don't know what the rules are.
Well, probably the difference is from Florida and Massachusetts and how active the ACLU is down in Florida. But in Massachusetts, Worcester just took, I think, a little over $1 million lawsuit that they lost with their ordinance. The point is it's a constitutional issue that spans across the country. So I'm not sure they're getting away with that in Florida. But panhandlers have a right as a freedom of speech to ask for money. And we're not trying to impinge on those rights. So if you want to ask for money, we're saying go right ahead. What we're trying to say here in New Bedford is don't do it on the streets where cars pass, because it's just not safe. So the median on the Octopus coming from Fairhaven or 140, that's just not a safe place. Or Cogsall Street, where Market Basket, that's just not a safe place to be walking into the street and ask for money. You want to ask for money, you can do it on a sidewalk, and that is your constitutional right, and we do not want to infringe on those rights. But it is also the citizen's right to not give the money. And that's what we're saying, if you're giving your money, you're not getting your best return on it.
If you have a question, go ahead and throw it in there. We have a few more topics here to talk about. And there is a subscription button in the live feed. If you want to get notified when we go live, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Big topic I've been writing about, problem property ordinances. All right, so the way I've read it, it's like a 7-pager. 8 valid complaints means police came there and it's a valid complaint and you're on a problem property, but it's kind of layered. Like I think 3, you get a letter. Why don't you talk about, it's been successful so far with the letters, I think you said, right?
So, right, we've been trying to perfect our system, and we're still working on it, to be honest with you. But what we have seen, because we've sent out a ton of first letters when you meet the first threshold of 5 complaints in a 12-month period. And those complaints are not just any complaint, got to be legitimate complaints, noise, violence, not domestic violence per se, because we want to make sure we continue to get those calls. So after we meet that first threshold, we'll send a letter to the landlord wanting them, if they don't correct the problems, that we'll have the opportunity to send them a second letter and bill them for the services. So we have yet to have the opportunity to send that second letter, because we've had a lot of success with that first letter. Is there room for some improvement with the ordinance? Well, that's probably true in most laws and legislation that we put out there. I know on our end, and I had this discussion before I left the office today with Deputy Chief Paul Oliveira on how we're going to perfect how we're collecting the data and attaching the data to the appropriate address and doing our follow-ups. So one thing we are doing now on our CompStat meetings is we're adding that to our data that we're analyzing in front of our command staff. When we have a house that we've gone to 2 or more times in the past month, we'll bring it up and try to identify what's the root cause so we can solve the problem before it becomes more of a problem.
My issue, and I would like to see the city council potentially put it up there, is all calls are equal. So we had a North Front Street property that had 3 drug raids in 6 weeks, 4 this year alone. And that's only 4 valid complaints. So you have a drug raid is the same as a, hey, your TV's too loud, like a noise ordinance like violation. Would you support something where a drug raid means more than other calls?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, definitely, like I was saying, the legislation, the ordinance isn't perfect, but it's been a great tool for us. Could it be tweaked so we could become even more effective with the enforcement? I think you bring up a valid point, Mike. When you're seeing a drug raid has the same value as a noise ordinance complaint, a barking dog or loud music, or just people out there arguing all the time, on the parking lot, in the porch or whatever. There should be a different value, I think, for the drug raid. For sure, that's something that, the city councils can certainly consider. I would certainly support some tweaking of that ordinance.
so you have, we have a New Bedford police officer being promoted, 3 being honored in September 8th ceremony. You wanna talk about that?
Yes, it's a great news always when we have the opportunity to promote somebody. So Mark Jamar will be getting promoted tomorrow from patrol officer to a sergeant, and we're also going to be honoring 3 individuals with the Chiefs Award for some outstanding work that they've done. Lieutenant Ricardo Resendiz, Detective Claudia Sampson, and Detective Steve Taylor are also going to be honored at this ceremony tomorrow. Detective Taylor and Claudia Sampson, most folks in the community are very aware of the charitable contributions that they have led, from fighting cancer to the Owen movement. They've been very effective in giving to the community, to these organizations. So we're going to be giving them an award, and Lieutenant Resendiz has just been doing an incredible job wearing a multitude of hats for many, many years. So we're looking forward to honoring those 3 individuals as well.
Do you see the police department getting more officers or kind of sustaining the level you're at now?
The manpower
In the future?
level?
Yeah, in the future,
Right,
like
so
next year
we're
or so.
trying to get to capacity and talk about this. I talked about it at the budget hearings with City Council. So we're below our budgeted capacity because we just can't get enough officers into the academy seats. It's not that we can't get enough candidates, it's because the way the Massachusetts MPTOC works, you cannot secure a seat until you have a candidate that's passed all the background, psychological, physical test, and the physical aptitude test, which takes months. So it's a race for all police departments to secure those seats. First one to gets those seats. So we have not been able to do it for many years. One of the reasons we're looking to bring our own police academy back to New Bedford, where we can secure our own seats, ensure we have enough seats every year, so we are at full capacity.
So Jay Pires asks, what are your thoughts on lowered and modified vehicles? Like those, those cars that are really low to the ground and modified, and is there rules or something you guys have to follow, like pulling over people for that? Or?
Right, so there's laws that, really regulate motor vehicles very extensively, from, how wide your tires are, how much you can raise the car up, how much you can raise it down. Living in an urban environment here, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that you would want to lower it down, just because I would think it'd be a maintenance issue for you. The streets are older streets, are uneven. I don't really have an opinion one way or another how that ends up getting regulated by the state legislators, but it doesn't seem like it's a good fit for an urban environment of an old city like ours.
So Tyler asks, what are your thoughts on cannabis as a means to combat the city's opioid problem? Do you feel further regulations would help reduce violent crime, hard drug addiction, and what problems do you foresee popping up due to the cannabis regulation? So do you think the legalizing of marijuana is a good or bad thing for the city?
I think the medicinal piece would probably be more frugal, but the recreational, I believe, is going to compound our drug issues as a whole. You see it in Colorado. I notice some people are going to say different, but you look at Colorado, their emergency visits have gone up 4 times, I believe, that are cannabis driven. Their motor vehicle accidents have gone up extensively as well. There's no really way of measuring, as you do with alcohol, the level of intoxication of marijuana. Technology has not caught up to that. The edible use of cannabis is going to compound our problems as well, because you're going to have marijuana from lollipops to ice cream, traditional brownies, of course, but cookies, candies, hard candies, very difficult to regulate of what's what, and harder to detect. If you're smoking marijuana, you can smell it. If you're ingesting it, much more difficult to detect. So how is that going to impact our bus drivers, our airplane pilots, police officers, our medical professionals? How do we detect if someone's under some influence of marijuana when they go to work? If they ingested it and didn't smoke it? It's not like alcohol. It's much more easily telltale. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, I think, of what recreational marijuana challenges are going to bring to our society. We're a society that's suffering from an opioid epidemic and addiction nationally. So it seems that the timing is off by throwing more gasoline into the fire. We're already struggling with an addiction issue across the country.
I would imagine that we don't get a lot of OUI marijuana charges in the city of New Bedford. I know they're probably hard to prosecute. I don't know if it's...
Right, it's just not New Bedford. In Colorado, they've been really leading this charge with the legalization of the recreational marijuana. They're seeing an uptick in their accidents that are reduced by, but in terms of bringing the cases to court, prosecuting the case and presenting it in front of a jury, it's much more difficult. We have a breathalyzer that can physically, scientifically measure the level of alcohol in your system. We do not have that technology to measure the level of THC in your system. You could have THC that stays in your system for days. So it's an easy defense to say, yeah, it's true. I used marijuana 3 days ago, not today.
Yeah.
It just makes it convolutes the ability to prosecute the cases, especially for the district attorney's offices. They have to prosecute these cases. But for the officers in the field, they have to make that determination whether to make that arrest or not. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like I said, the enforcement piece. But when we talk about the social piece, the edible, the use of marijuana in edibles is going to be very, very tricky to track. And then I've been getting a lot of calls from landlords. Believe it or not, they're saying, hey, what do I do with my tenant? They're smoking marijuana in there. Now this is legal. I got other tenants in there. And this is the scenario, right? You have a family on the second floor with a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old, and you got the third and first floor smoking marijuana. You're gonna have the secondhand smoke. Well, we've taken such a hard-nosed campaign about smoking tobacco and secondhand smoke out of restaurants. Now, how do we? It's a challenge for these landlords and those that are living in these tenements that have abutting neighbors that are partaking in this recreational marijuana.
So let's talk. So how long have you been the chief now?
15 months, I think.
15 months, so like right over a year. What are some of the... I've been noticing the difference between your philosophy and what you've been doing. I've noticed a lot more sweeps. I see a lot of the press releases for the sweeps, and it seems like an uptick on getting people that actually have outstanding warrants out there. What would you say the improvements that you've made since you've been as chief now for 15 months?
Well, first, I got to thank all the police officers in New Bedford Police. They're just doing a great job. Without them, it's a team effort. Incredible work, and it's also a team effort with all our law enforcement partners, both state, federal, and the DA's office, and of course, local government, all the other departments in the city that help us with issues that are not necessarily a police issue, but ends up being a police issue. I want to thank everybody that's been helping out there. And of course, the people in New Bedford have been absolutely amazing. Amazing coming out forward. This snitches get stitches. That campaign is dying out. The silence leads to violence. People are coming alive. I'm getting cards at the station, greeting cards with no return address. We're getting tips, and that's making all the difference to helping our officers become more efficient and effective because we're limited resources. That has been a big impact, and of course, working with the state and the federal partners that we have has a huge impact. It's about partnerships, about working with the community and the community working with us, and that's what I've seen the biggest difference in other agencies.
Yeah, I've seen you speak at a lot of places over the last year and a half, and one of the biggest things is contact us if you have something. And I've written articles on explaining what snitch it is and what it isn't, and I liking the Joe Pesci in a mob movie, you've been doing criminal activity for 20 years and you get pinched by the police, and now you turn in all your other criminal activity, other folks to get a lesser crime. That's snitching.
Yeah.
But you looking out your window and seeing someone breaking in your neighbor's house, you calling the police is not snitching. That's just called being a good citizen and a good neighbor to you. Because eventually it's you who's going to be the end of the crime, and someone's not going to call on you.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it, Mike. And the other thing is, being a great neighbor, a good citizen, and steward of our city is you just don't know how that crime is going to impact you. For example, you see someone with a needle in their arm, and you don't call us, and you get into a car, and they get into an accident with someone that you love, and it's a fatal accident. Could have prevented that. You just don't know. My point is we're all connected and interconnected and dependent upon one another. And my philosophy and my mantra is for us to become a city of one. And the way for us to do that is to look out for one another, to help each other out, call the information in, regardless how big or how small you think the issue is, give us a call. And that is what's been making a difference. This really is a beautiful city with beautiful people. The people that are causing the majority of our crime and heartache is a small number. We got 100,000 plus people that live in this city. For a few dozen or 50 or 60 people, whatever it is, we should not tolerate their bad behavior anymore. It's our city. We have the numbers. All we need is your voice giving us those pieces of information so that we can enforce the law and bring it up to the DA to prosecute in district court or superior court.
Yeah, so if you go to Google, or you can go to the website, if you type in New Bedford Police, go to their website, they actually have an anonymous email as well, right? How anonymous is that? Let's just get that out there.
It absolutely is, man. I'm glad you bring that up. We have the anonymous phone tip line you can call in. It's absolutely anonymous. If you go on our website, there's a section at the bottom, you go all the way down, it looks like an email address, you tap on it. When they ask for your name, you can put John Doe, we don't really care. You can put Mickey Mouse, and just give us the information. We're interested in that information. We don't go tracking it down, we just don't do that. It's completely anonymous when you send us those email tips. So you got phone, you got the email, you got traditional email, like I told you, I've been getting greeting cards with information in it. And you can send it through the regular mail without a return address, that's fine too. The more detailed, the better, because it gives a better starting point or finishing point, because sometimes we're already deep into that investigation. Again, I can't emphasize how interdependent we all are and how much this crime impacts all of us, and it's only a few. You see, if you know somebody there that's carrying a gun unlawfully, let us know anonymously. We need that information. It might be the last piece that we need to get a search warrant for a house, even though it's anonymous. So the more we do for each other, the better and safer the city becomes, and that's been the difference.
So I'll talk about something I think is probably a police officer's biggest frustration, is you guys making a good arrest, getting good evidence, and judges just let them back on the street. I bring up a guy named Salazar, found in our North Front Street apartment there on his 53rd. He has 53 convictions, and he's found again I'll go back. So in March, he's found with a gun and drugs in the North Street apartment. And then in July, he's found the same place, and I don't know how he's back on the street. So I don't know how much you can talk about it, but judges seem to be the biggest frustration on my side of it. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I see you guys doing the good work, and then and you look at the comments, social media, it's a joke that the slap on the wrist is pretty much what you hear about. 53 convictions. How's this guy? And he got a gun on his next arrest. He's back on the street doing drugs again. Is that your biggest frustration? Is it the judges?
So I get a lot of frustration, but that certainly is a big frustration for police officers and myself as well. And I'm sure for the assistant district attorney and the district attorney himself probably, who have to prosecute these cases, a lot of time, effort, energy goes into this. In some of these cases, you work hard and some fall apart, and then sometimes it's good police work and with a little bit of luck, right? So you do all this work, and to have somebody come back out and impact our community that way, especially violent criminals, people that have a propensity for violence, a history of violence, firearm charges, weapons charges, those are the ones we'd like to see held. Not every drug addicted person needs to go to jail or should go to jail, but there are some that are impacting the community with violence to get money to support that. Those folks need to be held and go to jail. That is a big frustration for us. I think something that might help would be if we had more community-based judges, folks that from the community, that understand the
I
community.
think we only have one that's from the area that's actually sitting on the
Yeah,
bench
we
over
don't
here.
have too, I think that would make a big difference, to be honest with you, because they know the community, they have empathy for the folks that live in the community. I think that would go a long way. But we do feel those frustrations without question, and especially when you arrest somebody with that type of history, propensity for violence, and they're out, and then shortly thereafter, they victimize someone else. This is preventive. This can be prevented.
So we have two things about police walking the beat. So Sue Matos says, need more police present on certain areas, have them walk the beat. Another Peter Sylvia says, need more police in the downtown area. Has your orders been to have more people walking the street, or has it been less? I know we have the guy in the bike, we have one officer on the bike and another one walking downtown. And is there more of a walking presence since you've been a chief, or how's that?
Absolutely. A few months ago, I put out a directive and an order, and then we're actually tracking it now with our ComStat as well to ensure the officers are doing that. It's our walk and talk campaign. So all our officers in the uniform division are required 20 to 30 minutes a day, weather permitting. So if it's raining and snowing, obviously we're not going to be out there, right? And calls for service permitting them to go out there and do it. They're supervised at the designated areas that they're to get out of their car and walk 20 to 30 minutes and engage with the community. And I know that's happening in different parts of the city because I'm running into folks. So some of the comments you just got, please let us know where you want to see them. We'll get them there. You won't see them there every day because it's a big city, resources are limited, and the idea behind the walk and talk program was to take old traditional walking beat methods, because people have been wanting that for a long time, as long as I've been in the job, and infusing that with our community policing philosophy while operating within the modern policing demands and restrictions, which is resources. And that's why we're doing it 20 to 30 minutes a day. Let us know where you want them. We'll be there. You know, Mike, I think you were going to bring it up. We've been doing the walk. I've been walking with the mayor throughout the city and the deputy chief at different neighborhoods. I'll go to any neighborhood and walk that neighborhood with anyone and see what we're doing right and what we can do better. The idea, this is your city. The police department, we work for you. So you let us know what you want us. We'll be out there. I assure you we're out there walking and talking. Let us know what you'd like to see us, and I'll get that to the district commanders and see if we can get the officers out there walking and talking.
Yes, so we got the video there now, and we had you and Mayor Mitchell and walking. It was County Street towards the south end. Before that, we've done North Front Street. Before that, actually, right in between those two, we did the south end on, I think it was
Roosevelt and Route.
Yeah. So, is that something? So, how would they contact you if they decide, hey, why don't you come to this neighborhood? How would they contact you?
So yeah, my email address is on the on our webpage and I believe our Facebook as well.
And the phone number is that
Our webpage
6300
for
phone
sure,
number, right?
Yeah, just send me an email, Mike. They can come to you too, because we've talked about this before. You let you know and you let me know. There's various ways to get those messages through my email. You can call them get it to Bedford Guide, and because you guys normally come out with us, so there's a variety of ways to let me know, and I'll be happy to go out there and do it.
So Chris Souza, it's kind of in what we've just been talking about, but he says, do you have further ideas on how to foster a community relationship between law enforcement and citizens? Maybe further improving the view of law enforcement would encourage people to be more willing to communicate. So what's the public affairs, thing that you're doing to get the police out there in the public more?
Right, so we talked about our walk and talks, we're doing that out. We do our neighborhood meetings anyhow. We're putting a ton of information on our Facebook. We started a youth dialogue program in partnership with YWCA, with our officers, having dialogues with the youth so we can start to build those relationships there. Our school resource officers are engaging as well with the kids. We've given them a list of kids that we'd like to see them to become more mentors to them in the middle schools, to develop those relationships now, so then when they become adults, we have continued good relationships with our kids now and future adults and leaders of our community. We're doing that as well. I go to any organization and I'll talk to anybody. We do presentations, we do trainings in the community and for businesses. We are now starting a new campaign that you'll probably be going out there. We posted on our Facebook. We have a lot of publications that's going out to the community looking for solicitations we're going to develop. They're going to raise enough money so we have a variety of literature for public safety, literature for kids in grammar school, middle school, for drug information, drug use information, for seniors, keeping them from being fraudulent folks, conning them out of their money, So again, all these publications are gonna be publicized for us, and then we're gonna start taking those publications into the community and doing trainings with them in the schools and in the community. For example, housing, elder housing facilities that we'll be going to and doing that to get that information to the elders. We're doing so much stuff out there with the community. We have Me and BPD on cable TV. That's another way we're doing this show with you, Mike, so we can engage with the community as much as we can, find out what their needs are, so we can respond more readily and effectively to what those needs are, because it's really don't always know that from where we're standing. So it's good to hear from the people. We're doing as much as we can, believe me. We're trying to build partnerships with the community and other agencies every day, every single day.
Okay, so
And
that,
let me add just too, even with the faith-based community, we've been building relationships with the faith-based community. We have meetings with them, with a variety of folks from different faiths at the station, and organizing for them to help us with the response. We've created a CCIT team, a critical crisis intervention team. We've got that going on. We have a multidisciplinary opioid task force that's doing some really good work right now to address these issues, the issues in our community of opioids, addiction and epidemic here. So there's a lot of great work happening in the city.
yeah, we're looking at doing some ride-alongs with some of the officers and put that out in future shows. So no more questions. So if you want to, anything you want to add to the end, you want to tell the citizens
Yeah.
of New Bedford?
Yeah, just real quick, Mike, I just want to touch on those ride-alongs that you're talking about. I think the other idea we've been trying to do is really present to the community how human we are, that the police are very, very much human, and that this isn't a cape that we put on and we no longer have feelings, emotions, or problems, because we have the same problems everybody else has. We're no different. We just took a job that we swore to protect and save and serve the public. You know, when the bell rings, we run towards danger, and people are running for cover. That's the difference. But at the end of the day, we have the same problems as everybody else. We just as human. We do make mistakes. So I do appreciate the outpour of the community for the police officers. They've been seeing them on details, on road work, and tell them how much they appreciate the officers. I can tell you how much that means to our officers. It recharges them. It reinvigorates their mission that they're doing the right thing by taking this job. So thank you for that to the community. Mike, I want to thank you, of course, for having me. I just want to leave the community. This is a great city, great people, big hearts. Don't let anybody tell us any different. This is a great city. Like any city, we have challenges, no doubt about it, but together as a city of one, and we've started seeing in the last 15 months the changes that we can make together. Let's continue to work together collectively, community, police, as one, not seeing each other as different. We're part of the community, and you're part of the police department. So please, let's continue to work together. Get that information to us so we can make your neighborhood, our city, a safer city. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, and I'll just real on top of that real quick is I make it a point when I drive along and you see a cop at construction zone, wave to him.
Yeah.
If you're walking by, go shake your hand. Say, I mean, we're in a community here, and if you don't actually reach out and see what that person is, a human, and how you doing today? You see them in the coffee shops, coming in, grab something, buy them a coffee, and get a discussion going, because that's really what it's about, I think.
Well, you don't have to buy the coffee, but
but
the handshake and a smile is nice. You know, you can never underestimate the power of a smile.
Yeah.
And the human touch is such a big thing. I think that we've lost a little bit in our society. The human touch is a really big thing. So, a handshake or just a touch on the shoulder goes a long way, saying thank you for what you do. If you feel that way, it really makes our officers feel good. And like I said, it reinvigorates and reinforces why they're doing this job. Because it's easy, as you said, Mike, earlier, to start to second guess the work you're doing, especially when you work so hard. And sometimes folks are let out and say, what am I doing? It's like shoving sand against a tide. It's just coming right back. So here in the community, appreciate what we do goes a long way. And I tell you, we appreciate what you do. And I certainly appreciate all your participation and your support that you've given not only me, but our police department. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Thank you.